What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're brand new, I want you to consider leaving me a comment and letting me know what you think I can improve on. If you're thinking about clicking off the video before it ends, and even if you're someone that's been with me, I want you to consider doing so as well. But without further ado, I want to move into tonight's topic because that's really why you clicked on the video. So if you haven't heard by now, President Trump has been banned from all major social media sites. We're talking Twitter, we're talking Facebook, and not just his personal Twitter account. Even on his presidential Twitter account, he sent a few tweets and they blocked that one as well. General Flynn, I saw that he had his Twitter account banned, and people that I follow on social media, specifically on Instagram, you would consider them to be Second Amendment rights advocates, and they're having all of their posts banned or flagged. They're saying that they're violating community guidelines somehow. So it seems like there's a purge going on for people on the right. And I'm not seeing anybody getting affected by this if they're on the left. So I have a few more examples that I want to walk through, and I'll kind of give you my take on it briefly while I'm talking about the person, but towards the end of the video, that's where I want to save kind of the meat of my particular take. So moving on to our first example, we have Alex Jones, the man, the myth, and at times the absolute unit, because he is pretty well known for being a conspiracy theorist or kind of a provocateur. You know, he can certainly get into some hot water based on things that he says. Now, if you haven't heard of Alex Jones or you don't know enough about him, I encourage you to try and look him up. Get your own take. I don't want to give you my personal opinion and skew what you think about him, so I'd rather you do that on your own. But he was banned from all social media sites about 2 years ago. And again, you could get into whether it's justified or not, and like I said, I'll give you my take on it later in the video. But what I want to kind of talk about with him is it was a domino effect, because he was kind of the first, I'd say, major person, well-known person on the right specifically, to where they got banned. And people started calling foul, like right there. They started saying, whoa, this is kind of crazy. These companies, they have the ability to silence someone's speech. And they were saying it's going to get worse. If you don't stand up for him, it's going to get worse. And here we are. So I'm kind of looking and I'm saying, man, if only we listened back then. The next example that I have, this is Judy Mikovic. And if you haven't heard of her, she used to be a virologist, so studying diseases, viruses, stuff like that. And she got a ton of buzz at the beginning of the shutdown. We're talking March or April of 2020, and she appeared in a YouTube documentary called Plandemic, where she went on to say some things about the current virus that we have going around in our society today, saying how she believes it was created or manipulated in a laboratory. She also had some not so nice things to say about Dr. Anthony Fauci. So again, the name of the sort of, I guess you could call it, documentary, it was Plandemic. It's probably not on YouTube because I remember watching it, and the next day I went back trying to rewatch it and it was pulled from the site. So I encourage you, if you're into that kind of thing, to look it up on your own, and you can kind of make your own inferences about whether or not you think it should have been taken down. So I guess we'll move back to the beginning and I'll give you my thoughts. So when it comes to free speech, things can get absolutely messy, because I understand there's some people who use free speech to, let's say, the worst extent, right? They can be hurtful to others, they can spread misinformation. So I understand the idea of trying to say, well, somebody has to be able to sort of hold them accountable. But the issue that you're getting into with giving people the ability or giving people the power to ban certain people to where they can't even speak is it can very easily turn political, because it might start out as, okay, we're just trying to make sure people aren't, verbally abusing others, on our sites. But, it doesn't take that long to where now the person can say, oh, I don't like this person because they have different politics than me, and they're getting a ton of traction. So whoop, I'm going to wipe it out. They can't speak anymore on my particular platform. And I guess kind of getting back to President Trump is they banned the president from social media. So if they could ban the president, they could ban anybody. And that's kind of where I'm getting at, is if you can ban one person, like I already mentioned, the president, it doesn't matter who else you ban. Like, again, Alex Jones certainly has a big following, but he's nothing compared to the president of the United States. So that's where we get into this slippery slope. So another thing I will say is, because I've heard it from a ton of people that consider themselves Democrats, they're going on social media and they're going absolutely nuts, having a field day. They're saying, ooh, look, the party that once supported private businesses is mad about a private business making a decision. Well, here's the issue that you're getting into. It's not like somebody saying you can't shop at my store. What this company is doing is they're banning or they're infringing upon someone's freedom of speech. So that's where things get a little messy, because again, it's not somebody shopping in a store, it's somebody trying to exercise their First Amendment right. So let's just say, for example, because these companies are private businesses, and I understand there's something called Section 230, which is senators and representatives are trying to hear the case, so that way social media can't ban certain people based on their politics. But what I want to talk about is, let's say, for example, we all agree that private businesses can make their own decisions to, they can have whoever they want on the platform, they can ban whoever they want from the platform. Let's just say we all agree on that for now. Does that now mean that Parler should be allowed to operate? I'm going to ask that again, because you might be someone that consider yourselves on the left. If we're now agreeing that private businesses are allowed to operate and they're allowed to have whoever they want on and they can run their business the way that they want, does Parler have the right to exist? Does alternative media have the right to exist? If your answer is still no, my response is you can't butter your bread on both sides, because you can't say on this one half, ooh, these companies are allowed to ban certain people mainly because I disagree with these people, so I want them to be silenced. So you already set the precedent that private businesses can operate the way they want to. But if that's your take, you can't now say, ooh, this private business should be censored. They should be able, or they should have to silence people who spread misinformation, because now you're flip-flopping. You're trying to butter your bread on both sides. So Parler, in my opinion, has the absolute right to exist, especially if social media is going to be cracking down on people that have the wrong opinion. And that's kind of my end take, is free speech. I think it should include all speech, because the best way you can sort of get a different opinion out there, the best way that you can, bat down somebody's idea is by engaging in free speech. It's by engaging in a conversation. If somebody says something that you don't like, or something that is false, or something that you know is false, don't try and ban them. Step up to the plate and debate them, or call them out, or have a rebuttal to their particular points. That's the best kind of speech, because when you get the free exchange of ideas, now you leave it up to the individuals to make their own decisions, to hear the facts, and then at the end of the day, they'll agree where they want to agree. At the end, here's my take on whether, or the damage rather, of people being banned. Well, it just strengthens their opinions, because it makes it seem like they were speaking the truth, and these big companies or whomever are trying to silence them because they're trying to hide the truth that these people are speaking. That's just my particular opinion. I'm not saying everything that they say is true, but when you have a big company trying to lock down on someone, right, and silence them, to me, it just strengthens their point, and it drives that argument underground. So if you want to actively try and change people's minds, you can't shut them out. You have to actively engage them. Just my take. So I want you to let me know, because I don't think censoring people is going to be going anywhere, and I certainly don't think it's right. So you let me know if you think it is right, you think it's justified, do you think it's something that companies shouldn't be allowed to do because it's a constitutional right? Let's get some ideas flowing in the comment section. But as always, I appreciate you checking out the video, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.